we'll just start off in Tango Tower's kitchen. Look, we've got this Merit CB700 base station adapter. You've got a built-in SWR meter. Not supposed to have SWR meters permanently in line in the UK, but there you go, it has that. And yeah, forward reflect. There were several of these types available at the time, and we've got two of these kicking around. And then we've got another type which I just eludes me at the moment. I just had an email from a viewer, and he's discussing this type of product, not this particular one. And you know what? I've never looked inside one. Now these varied in price from about £39 to £69, so they weren't cheap, quite substantial. The idea is it swallows the mobile set and turns it into a base station. So I don't know what the power supply is going to be like. So I'm just going to pause the video, we'll just turn it around. So like a lot of these, you find the backs had to be cut away to accommodate the set they've used. So that'll be presumably to the power supply, and that is to, that's your SO239 from a patch lead inside. This probably extends out your extension speaker socket, or is it PA? We'll look into that in greater detail. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do today. We'll whip the lids off this. I'm going to put it through the dishwasher because it's filthy. I know we bought it on eBay, this one from Chesterfield, and it was collection only, so it cost us about 35 quid in petrol. But anyway, I'm just going to take the lids off and we'll just have a quick look with the camcorder. It's actually nicely made, this. It's much better than I was expecting. I don't know whether to totally dismantle and put it through the whole thing through the dishwasher or what, but obviously it's gathered dust over the years. And these are going to be from 1980, 81, and I've no doubt that when CB became legal in the UK, that quite a lot of these would be dumped on the UK market. So it looks like we've got a screen section down here, off camera. Screen section down here which probably contains the SWR sensor thing, but it's all nicely screened. Mains transformer, which looks good for about 2.5 amps. This power supply looks absolutely totally reasonable. So, but we're putting that through its paces. We've got a headphone socket just there. I didn't spot that first time round. So yeah, it's more impressive than I thought, to be honest. But there are others available and they may not be as impressive. But I've definitely got two of these Merit ones. We've seen Merit power supplies, usually those banned Taiwanese ones. We've seen Merit SWR meters, so it's a kind of marriage of the two. So it's a matter of seeing whether we've got all these parts in stock for an overhaul. I'll need to change the capacitors. This one's going to be the... have we got it? Yeah, we have it. Actually, it's 3,300 microfarads as used in the Harvard home bases. So we've got that in stock, luckily. So I'll have a look at that and we'll try and get this done today. And then we can get the video out. So I've not seen one, I've never been inside one in my life, and I know we've got 3 of these stacked up. So that little email from a viewer just has triggered me into let's do ours and actually see whether these are okay. Well, if you can hear me over the dishwasher, I've dismantled mine and it's now in the dishwasher. You wouldn't dismantle them to this level, but mine's filthy. But what a strange thing has happened here. This isn't the original innards. I thought I've seen this board somewhere else. So we've got 2 capacitors there, the series pass transistor there on the heatsink. We've got a bridge rectifier on the heatsink. We've got this particular transformer labelled PTX247, and we've got a 3300 microfarad capacitor there. I thought I've seen that. And I've just looked back at one of my videos because it just struck me. I've just taken this still from one of my videos. There we are, PTX247 transformer, exactly the same board but a bit cleaner. Harvard H404 base station. So somebody has replaced whatever power supply was in this box. We do have another one, but I can't get to it in the foreseeable future. And they've taken the innards out of a Harvard H407 or H404 base station to do this. Why would you smash up a £149 base station to turn it into a £69 base station adapter? I just don't. Oh, did they just mess about with the radio so much that they destroyed it? What a shame. Really nice, those base stations. We've got a few here to do and actually sell some on. Anyway, there we are. That's where we are so far. So I've just got out of stock a new capacitor. This is 3300 at 63 volts. That was 3300 at 35 volts. And the reason we've ordered this bigger one is it's the same diameter. It fits back in the clip. So that's what that's about. I'll get those changed, and the dishwasher's rumbling away. So I've got all this splayed out on Mr. Chippy's bench. We've got the base bit out of the dishwasher, which is cleaned up somewhat. We've got a total rebuild to do to this. It's totally unacceptable. So the mains transformer is going to mount there. They've got 3 holes, but they've just got self-tappers through. We're going to be doing nuts and bolts, hence the stupidly expensive RS nut and bolt kit. So I've got the primary and the secondary. So we need to put an extra hole in. They've put an extra hole in. They've got it on 2 self-tappers. I want to mount it on 4, so we need to drill 1 extra hole, which doesn't line up. You can see the original transformer was probably across there, but this is how this one's going in. And there's no earth provided. Now this doesn't have any screen that I can see unless it picks it up through the earth, in which case it's still not earthed. So 2-core mains lead isn't acceptable, so we're putting in a 3-core mains lead. That means we've got to put a different cable entry grommet in. I've just had to order those. Bag of 100 for £27 plus VAT. So, you know, again, you've got to buy all this stuff in. I only want 1. So we'll clamp the earth to the chassis, and we need to provide a fuse holder because there's no fuse on the primary of this arrangement. There's a fuse on the secondary. That's not good enough. Needs one on the primary. So we'll have to dig out one of those fuse holders, and they're not cheap either, are they? £2.79, £3. It's all adding up. You can see why these are £69. Okay, just so you can see where we've got to. I've now got a 3-core mains lead going in. We've got the earth to the new screws with the transformer. 4 new screws on the transformer of a much thicker gauge than were in before. It was actually on 2 self-tappers. I don't like wire nuts. I've got the wiring to wire nuts, but we're going to put some we're going to put some heat shrink tubing on those as well. I've put a fuse holder in the back, which didn't have a fuse holder, and that's the safe type, not the unapproved Taiwanese ones which came originally. So there was no fuse whatsoever. So we've done that. It's a single pole on and off switch, which isn't ideal, but that's what it is. And yeah, that's on there. So that's been wired into the live. So we've got neutral going straight to the transformer primary, live going into the fuse holder, and then we're going to put a this wire needs to go to there. So we'll do that next. Then we'll start putting the printed circuit board back. Well, let's see if that's an angle that you can't see my multimeter. It's there. Right, so moment of truth. I've got the hoppy device on. So we've got mains voltage there, and I've got a light bulb which is a 21 watt car bulb, so it's just a bit shy of 2 amps. So a power supply for a CB radio base station needs to be able to deliver about 1.6 amps for the UK FM, which is what this is aimed at. So we'll switch on, and I'm showing current on there. So if I put this meter perhaps there, you may be able to see it from there. Let's look at the output. .86. Just look at what's on the filter capacitor, usually about 25 volts, 21.3. That's fine. Of course, we've got that posh power supply tester, which we might do right at the end, we might not as well. because I tried to get this video out today. It's in a different building, so that's negative. So that's what happens if you went into transmit. So that's working fine. So it's certainly doing the current. I think good power supplies these, especially when you've changed the capacitors. But what should be in there? Well, we've got another one, and perhaps that will reveal what's in there. It might be a load of rubbish, and that's why his innards got swapped. But I just find it mind-boggling that somebody smashes up a £149 base station to turn it into a base station adapter. It's absolute bonkers. Right, we'll switch the hoppy device off and we'll carry on putting it together. So, what else is there to show you? We've got, I did say we've got cable grommets on order. Can't do that today. So yes, we need to start putting the bits in. Now, here's a giveaway. It's made by Great, isn't it? When we look at the loudspeaker, it says Great on the back. When we look at the front of the speaker, we've got a little hole in it. Now, I don't know whether whether we've covered this or whether you've depends what level of study you've done. But toilet paper's the answer, and we use the Bostik impact adhesive. If I said that right, I'll just get a roll of toilet paper, a piece of toilet paper, other thin tissue, but this is really ideal. If you've heard a speaker with a crack in it, it's awful. So we're going to put the impact adhesive on the hole. And we're going to just roughly put the toilet paper on there. You could do it really neatly. You could also make a mask and you could spray it. But I promise you, that's the way. Right, I'll screw that to the front panel. Where did I put the front panel? So there's our front panel. Got a headphone jack, but the headphone jack doesn't have a switch in it. So when I wire this across the speaker in parallel, if you plug headphones in, yeah, the sound will come through the headphones, but it'll also still come through the speaker. So it's not how you'd expect. I mean, is the headphone jack an afterthought from somebody else and non-official? I don't know. So there we put our great speaker in. So seeing as this is made by Great, it seems sensible for us to put a Great set in it. So it clips under a piece of plastic at that size. You only need 2 metal clips. So what we're going to do, this has never been wired up, so we're just going to simply plonk this across what we've got here. And I'll tell you something else we can be checking while the soldering iron warms up. Does the meter lamp work? Looks like it's those two wires. So put the hoppy device back on, power it up, I can't see anything happening. That looks like more work. Let's use Mr. Chippy's analog meter. Make sure we've got the right wires. So it's those. Yep, definitely those two. Which goes to that one. Yeah, got the right wires. Let's put that on ohms. No, the bulb doesn't work. More cost, more time. So this just simply goes to a 3.5mm jack plug to plug in the back of your radio. And then there's somebody's put in a socket there, which we're going to reinstate, and that goes to your PA jack. In fact, we'll use this bit of wire I've just discarded. So that is positive. That's negative. Right, better do that meter lamp. Okay, moving back onto this, we're on the next day. So I've put a new meter lamp in there. Now these are 12 volt lamps. This is a 13.8 volt power supply. So it's going to be overrunning the lamp and it'll be glowing like a headlight on a car. So that's probably why it's failed in the first place. So what we need to do is to calculate a series resistor to put in that. I don't want this to be stupidly bright either. So we know the power supply is going to be 13.8, we know the bulb's 12, we know it's 80 milliamps. So using Ohm's law, we need to lose 4 volts. So 4 divided by 0.08 is 50. So to that end I've selected a 50 ohm 0.6 watt resistor. So we'll wire that in series and we'll put this in heat shrink tubing. And hopefully we'll have a meter lamp which isn't stupidly bright and lasts considerably longer than the original. See, in a CB radio they can put series resistors in, they can put these in. But they don't seem to have taken this into consideration on this, or it was on the original printed circuit board, which of course is now gone. where's the solder? So I'm working on a Academy CB502 CB radio as well, which is made by Great, using the GT868 chassis, because at the end of the day this Great base station adapter will clearly fit the Great radios as a priority, you know. So I think we'll do an on-the-air test using this power supply as the power source when we do that. So I don't know which is going to get published first, but it's the Merit power supply, or whether it's going to be the 702. And notice it's model 700. So some of the Great models, the GT858s can be 701, and the GT868s can be 702. So it kind of all fits in with their numbering system. So I'll solder that to there. This is where magnestat irons don't help. It's all over the place. Right, so before I do the sleeving, we'll power this up. So I'll just switch the Ruby device on, switch the power supply on, and if there's two crocodile clips, well, there's one. Let's put that one to our negative. And here's another crocodile clip. Yep. So you are on a bit of an angle there, but that's the kind of brightness that you'd be expecting. Good. Switch the Ruby device off. So really that's the only pilot light to say that this is on. Pilot light, there's a good old-fashioned term. See, I've been reading all the 1930s books. So they use these wires and we'll re-implement those. Right, I'll get you back to you in a bit when I've done a bit further. Okay, so we've put the SWR bridge back in. We've got the fuse holder there. We've got a power lead, which is I've had to unscrew that because I've also soldered up the PA socket. We will put a plug on the end of that, and you've got a choice of which set of screws to use, and on the other rail as well. So, because it's a Great, we'll offer up this Fidelity 1000, and to get the width right. So it presents through the socket there, through that hole. So just see if a set of screws, because we've got to get the, I need to look at the case for this, because can you get through to the mic socket? And the answer is yes, you can. So we'll concentrate on what's central. fact, we can screw this front on now. If we had it central like that, let's see if we get a set of holes that line up about there. Just pop the front off for my ease at the moment. So I can see one screw hole there, and I can see no screw holes there. So take the set away. Yeah, so we screw it in that position. I'm going to use new screws, not the 40-year-old ones that came out. And what have we got here which lines up? It could be a bit wider than what we want. Don't think that's going to work. I think that's too narrow. No, it's not, Mr. Tango. No. It's got a bit sprained over the years. I mean, that could be shoved in a vice and improved upon. I was going to say, if it didn't fit a grate set, it would be weird. This video will end when we've put this back together. So say we'll show the Academy CB502 in this cabinet. So it's on the air test, we'll be using this power supply. And then we kind of doing two tests in one. I know these power supplies are fine, so they've only got to deliver 1.6 amps, and for a Fidelity 1000 it's going to be less than 1 amp. So when you bought one of these adapters, you've got to put all these guide rails in the right place, so you'd be probably half an hour to an hour assembling it. Might be neater with a cable tie around that. Just put a couple of screws in the front for now. And we'll thread this through past the transformer. we want a washer on this one because it's been cut away from where it originally was. So I've been intrigued to see the insides of my other one, and of course if anybody wants to email with a photo of the innards of theirs, we'll then see what's actually inside, because I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't very similar to those banned Taiwanese power supplies, because it's a Taiwan product. And I say it's not because they're unreliable or not any good, it's because it was a safety issue. Just like this, I've had to add a fuse holder. We're going to do a pat test on this probably right now. Right, so that will do. Good. And you've actually got screw holes at the side which go into the mounting holes and beautifully line up for a GT868. It's that position. I'm not going to lock it in, so they kind of want it like that. Whether or not it came with some kind of cloaking thing, I've got it too narrow. It needs to be one wider. Anyway, I'll do all that off camera, or shall we get the pat test done right now? You know what? I haven't even put a plug on this. It's running through the Hoppy device. Actually, I had to go and buy some plugs semi-retail from Tool Station. So we need to put a mains plug on. Put a 3 amp fuse in the product. Having bought these from somewhere anybody can shop, it's quite possible that they've got 13 amp plugs fitted, and that does need swapping for a 3 amp plug. Did I say plug? 3 amp fuse. Yeah, it's got a 13 amp fuse. So I'll just do this plug. I've had a delivery from RS, so I think the cable entry grommets arrived. In fact, I need to do that first in case I need to thread the cable back through. I'll pause the video. So I was right not to have put the plug on, because I just did need to take a little bit of metal out of that to get the cable entry grommet in properly. So that's done the mains plug, and we will put the top on that. A pat test. Oh, especially when I get the tester out. So I think what it came out of was supposed to be double insulated, but we've changed that, haven't we, to put an earth on it. There's no screen on that transformer unless it's done through the outer case, so rather be safe than sorry. It's going to be class 1, isn't it? So we'll put the earth onto the chassis to make sure we've got the machine in shot. Might help if I switch it on. Or is it on? Wow. So that's gone through all those. Right, we're just about there. So I need to slacken off these screws because it just needs to be one step wider. It could do with one in between, to be honest. It's just a fraction too tight. Thing apart from the switches on the front chassis member here, everything else has been through the dishwasher, and that includes the printed circuit board, not the transformer. And we'll switch it on, and there we are. It lights up. We'll do a voltage check. May as well adjust it for 13.8 spot on, especially if I can find a trimming tool on Mr. Chippy's bench. I'll leave it there for now. What I'm just going to do for a laugh is say we're going to put the Academy 702 in this. We'll just push the wires in so we can see the thing lit up. Right, we'll get this lid on. I don't know whether we've got to redo the case screws because you've got self-tappers in. I've just realised we've got the aerial socket the wrong side, the aerial plug the wrong side. So the screw holes line up there. That's how they expect you to have it. Just get the lid. It could do with polishing up a bit, which we can do, but just to give people the gist, and without putting the, let's lower the camera. I've got a sneaking impression it'd be just as much work to rebuild one that's not had the power supply messed with. So I'll show the SWR and that if it works on the video, which is part of the CB701 on the eye test when we get there. But there we are, it's back in the land of the living. I can't put any volume on, I can't hear the speaker because we've not got the mic plugged in. But just to show you, you can access the mic socket through that hole in the side. So there we go, that's showing you a Merit CB700 base station. And these kind of vary between $39.99 and $69.99 in the years they were available, between about 1981 and 1983. So we've got a second one of these which may not have been messed with, but at least it's the power supply it's got in it is probably better than the one which it originally came with. But back to the original question, why did somebody chop a $149.99 base station to turn it into a $39.99 base adapter? There you go, thanks for watching.